Afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of day it is. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Dr. Don. For your first-time viewers, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals and about whatever it is that we have decided to talk about. And tonight, my guest, I'm so glad to say, is Dennis Gleason, who was a director of this show, a producer of this show some years ago. And it's just a delight to hang out with, but he's so darn bright, he makes me nervous sometimes. This is one of the most intelligent men I know. See, I can't even talk.
Oh, stop.
And I love you.
Stop.
Buddy. Glad you're here.
No, you really can't say that anymore.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm doing pretty good right now, thank you.
Okay, I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Because whenever you and I get together, you go so fast sometimes, and I say, wait a minute, slow down, Dennis. I really admire your brain, you turkey.
I will try to slow down.
See, we're going to have trouble tonight. Right, nurse? Yeah.
Yes, we have nurse on staff, right?
Yeah,
that's good.
Not that slow, Dennis.
Okay, just trying to help. No, just plain Don.
But you've been doing so darn many things in your life, and we got to get caught up to speed since the last time you produced a show for us. How long ago was that? Some time ago.
Well, let's see, I got married in 2009, so it would have been sometime probably early in 2010, I think, is when I cut off a majority of the shows I was producing in the studios.
But I learned so much from you.
Did you?
Yes.
Tell me, one thing did you learn that you still use today?
I learned to be careful of our director, Ellery. But anyhow, as you know, the show goes in two parts.
Right.
First part is the bio part, who you are personally and what you're thinking and feelings are about certain things that are personal to you,
right,
so that people can have an idea where you're coming from when you talk about the rest of the show or things we might decide to talk about.
Right.
So, shall we start off?
Have at it.
Remember the format?
Somewhat. I only did, what, 70 episodes? I wasn't paying much attention on about 70% of them. I was playing my phone, directing and talking to the audio person.
You did a hell of a job. Yeah. And I'm not going to stalk you anymore. But, okay, you ready?
Yes, you are.
If I were to ask your best friend,
yes,
who is Dennis? What would your best friend say? They'd say Dennis is.
Dennis is. Dennis is, and this is going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but very generous.
Yeah, you're in quotes now.
Okay. Sorry.
Dennis is.
Well, Dennis is very generous. One of the things that Dennis does is he finds a need and he does what he can within his capabilities to fill the need. Sometimes that means handing it off to someone else, and sometimes that means taking it on even if he may not necessarily have all the time and resources to do it. And anyone that really knows me probably would say the same thing. Knows him, yes, knows him. Would say the same thing, and it's just the way he is.
And how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
I look at a lot of people that are around me, people I work with, people that I talk to, and people I emulate or at least want to look up to, and I see what they're doing, and I just don't think it's enough. I think I don't have all those resources. I don't have all that, money or clout or anything like that, but yet I give back way more than 100%. And as soon as it hurts, I give back more. Not all of it's, financial, of course, but my time. And
you see why I admire you? There you go. Okay, let's continue on.
All right.
Dennis C. Gleason, anything significant about your name?
Significant? Let's see, Dennis is my father's middle name, and my middle name is Carl, which is not only my brother's name, but I was named after my grandfather on my mother's side. And some of the reasons why I have a C in my name when it's presented often is because two reasons. One, there's a few other Dennis Gleasons, some of which I'm actually, connect with, but also because I had fraud done to me many, many years ago, and they thought that my signature was an L. And because when I sign it, the C looks like an L, and so I sign it because it's my legal signature.
You have so many answers to a question. It's just wonderful. And when and where were you born?
When and where, which is better than the last questions you asked most of your guests. So when, it was in August of 1970, and it was out here in Portland, Oregon. It was at Portland Adventist Hospital, and it was like one of the hottest days of the year.
You remember it?
I was there, yes, I remember it. I came out of my mother's womb and say, whoa, it's hotter out here than it was in there.
Okay, Dennis.
Wow.
Next question. Why were you born?
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. I didn't write your script, but I knew it, right?
Okay.
Why was I born? I think I was born as an agent of change, as an individual that helps rock the boat in some cases and settle it in others. I believe that my opportunities and everything that's come out of it is for a higher power and a higher reason. And so far, I think it's worked out well. I have great kids I work with, programs, my beautiful wife, you know, wonderful family. So I have to agree that's probably for the best, whether I understand it or agree with all of it or not.
Who's this higher power you're talking about?
That's God,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah. Anything significant about your cultural or national heritage that's worth telling the viewers about?
National heritage. Well, I'm part Norwegian, half Norwegian, quarter English, quarter Irish. None of the Irish or English really comes out in my family at all, but the Norwegian certainly does. Partly because sometimes I can get a little hot-headed when I get to that. Right before I get furious, I get really hot-headed. And then when I get furious, I'm calm, cool, collective, and people hate me.
A religious preference, do you have one?
Christian, of course.
Christian, And your formal education?
Formal education? Are we talking about what the institutions give me?
Yes.
I have some college. I graduated from high school in Troutdale at what is now called Reynolds High School, but previously Columbia. And I went to Mount Hood Community College. I've been to Portland Community College, Portland State University, miscellaneous seminars and trainings, but ironically, no degree.
You didn't need a degree, for God's sakes.
Okay, well, perhaps. Where I'm at right now, I would not have, but it would have been, I probably would be further ahead than I am today, but at the same time, we are, you know, some of all of our experiences, so I'm glad it happened, or didn't.
How about your other education?
Well, the real life one, I grew up in an alcoholic home, and so I learned that pretty quickly that I had to take a stand or step back, and I was one of the siblings that decided to take a stand, and when things got really, really bad, I kind of, you know, made it so it didn't get any worse, and I used those experiences to go out and help other people, my family a little bit, but more other people. I mentored a lot. I used to be a professional mentor, and I help a lot of kids if I can, and I do whatever is necessary to help people for the most part. Can I say help a couple more times in the same sentence and still be okay? All right.
Yeah.
It would help if I was helped more often about helping people.
That's enough, that is.
All right.
So, and what are you doing by way of paying the bills nowadays?
Paying the bills nowadays.
What kind of work are you doing, getting that paid?
I work as a lead in a bank doing test management. Basically, system changes need to be made, and my job is to help manage the testing of those system changes to make sure they work right for the bank.
You've been doing that for a while, haven't you?
Well, I've been with the bank for 17 years.
17 years? That's a long time, and they haven't found out about you yet.
I assume it's because I work from home 4 or more days a week, and
Really?
so they've probably, if they knew it, if I showed up at the office more often than just once a week or less, that they might say, you know what, don't you just belong to be working at home full time? But yeah.
So they like what you do for them.
I do a lot of things for the bank, not just my job. I mean, it's no different than my life. I also help run their volunteer program, and I volunteer, you know, somewhere between 80 to 100 hours a year, some years, sometimes up to 300 hours a year for them.
Wow, that's terrific. They're very fortunate to have you. And do you have a partner, a wife, a buddy, a friend, or somebody?
Yes, I have a very best friend. I have my cliched best friend in the whole world, my soulmate, and her name is Michelle Boxall Gleason. She has her maiden name in her hyphenated last name. And
she's a delightful human being.
She is wonderful.
I was at your wedding.
You were at my wedding, absolutely. It was a a production, wasn't it?
It was a production and a half.
Yeah, we'll be paying for that and tell kids we haven't had or graduated from college. But yeah, my wife and I are two peas in a pod. You know, she's in the entertainment industry. She's a celebrity makeup artist and hairstylist. And in fact, right now as we're recording this, she got into LA earlier today to go to an international trade show. And you know, she comes back. She works with you know, all the different TV shows here in town and movies and videos and TV shows. AM Northwest quite frequently. The President and First Lady she worked with Good Morning America.
Really?
So she's one of the best at what she does. So yeah, it's one of those things where we met actually at TVC TV. So not this particular building.
TVC TV.
At this organization, but in the other building, when it was attached to the Arts and Communications Magnet Academy.
Here in Beaverton, yeah.
In Beaverton, right? Where I was producing a television series, and she was a makeup artist and hairstylist for the pageant that I also produced. And the winner of the pageant was my host. And so, long story short, she ended up being a contestant on that show. We met, we had dinner a couple times, just really as professional. I was a producer, she was a talent, and you know, we got to know each other a little bit and realized that, you know, we were really more designed for each other than what was more obvious when we first met. And then, you know, the show got defunct and got closed down, and we ended up being an item, and the rest is 10 months to the date we met, which is actually 4 years ago on the 15th. We got married exactly 10 months from the date from when we met. So,
what a memory.
some of those things I can't live down. And of course, I don't want to either. So.
And it shows in your eyes and in your face as you talk about her and your relationship. It's just beautiful. Sad to say, so many relationships are not apparently as loving as yours is, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And children.
Children. I have 2 children, one officially, one not quite as official. So unfortunately, in one of those previous relationships that didn't work out for me, I was with a woman, and she had a beautiful young boy. He was 1.5 when I first met them, and after I got married to her, I went through the process and adopted him, and his name is Gabe. And you know him obviously very well, and
yes,
you know, he's been on my show. He's a beatboxer. He does singing and everything else. And then
delightful lad.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
With a normal teenage quirks on there too. And then part of being a mentor is after I got out of the official program, I decided to mentor my next door neighbor, lived across the street from me. You know, he was 12 years old and he was having some family related issues, and my heart broke every time he had issues. I could hear him from my house. And so I talked to his mom, and she said, yes, I can be his mentor. And then so my house became a safe haven for him. So whenever he got really upset, I mean, he wasn't being abused by any means, but he'd get upset. And so he'd come over to my house. And after a while, you know, when I took my son to Disneyland, I took him with me. And, you know, when he needed things, you know, I helped get them as much as I could. And then when his parents were moved to Vernonia, or had to move out to Vernonia, or mother moved, then instead of him having to quit high school his junior year, I basically took custody of him as my own and pretty much put him through the rest of high school, and then he got a job and helped pay for his college, and he stayed with me while he lived there, and now he lives a few blocks away and still see each other often. So.
Does he like you?
I think so. He calls me Dad.
That's wonderful.
And he doesn't hit me up for money all the time, which means he must really love me. No,
what a wonderful story.
People say that he looks exactly like me. Obviously, we're not related, but I'll take him if I had the choice.
And your other son?
And, well, Gabe was the other son.
Gabe,
so
okay.
Gabe and Kyle. So Kyle's the one that I pseudo-adopted.
Yeah.
So.
And would you care to make a statement about your political persuasion? Or are you a Tea Partier, a right winger, a left winger, or a centrist, or a moderate? Or give me some names.
I just like wings as long as they're not hot.
I mean,
that's all that matters. Should we have food in the background?
Help me out here.
The hard part about politics is that no matter what side you choose, the other side's always going to, at some time or another, have something that's valuable enough or quality enough that you'd want to have that position. And so I decided to really not go political at all, nonpartisan. I serve on the board of directors of a nonprofit agency, the Oregon League of Minority Voters.
Say that again, the Oregon League of Minority Voters.
The Oregon League of Minority Voters.
Yes.
Where the majority help make sure there's equity with mostly people of color is our primary focus on the minority side, which is mostly Black and Hispanic people that don't really think they have a say and they don't have an equal opportunity to participate in their life. And the organization basically is to help show them, you know what, you have just as much of a say as everyone else. You can participate in life, politics, whatever. And Obama, of course, being president, helped with that whole concept. But the organizations play a big role in what I do with, you know, all the activities that I'm involved in. And it's the political side of it is if you take one side or another, it makes it very difficult to really get help from another side. I have, you know, very good friends on both ends of it. The governor, Mr. Kitzhopper, was on a TV show I produced for Virginia Garcia back in 2010. You know, the new mayor of Portland, Charlie Hales, is a friend and colleague. My wife has actually worked with him. The mayor of Beaverton, which we both know, I even produced one of his West Side Stories back when he had a TV show at TVC TV, and he serves on the board with me with the Oregon League of Minority Voters, and I'm helping them with their youth advisory board. So we have a lot of connections on all sides of the fences, partisan, nonpartisan. Newt Bueller's on my board, and so we have a lot of people that taking a position doesn't help, so I don't do it.
Yeah, so I think there's a left and right, and then there are those who are apolitical for the most part.
I'm whatever is in the best interest of whatever it or they are.
Yeah.
And that's based on sometimes my assessment of it, not necessarily the political people who are trying to sell me it. Sometimes they're right, sometimes, well, we'll go there.
I have a question on the
Yes.
side that just occurred to me. We've used that word all the time, mentoring, a mentor. Yes. Will you say a few words because of your thinking? What do you mean by being a mentor for kids?
Well, being a mentor sometimes can get very watered down. The term's been used so many times that people don't truly fully understand what the concept of a mentor is. And it's the job of the mentor to walk through typically a mentee, a person that needs development in a certain area or wants it. It could be either way. And they show them how to do it, teach them the concepts, watch them try and hopefully fail a few times and then succeed at doing something. And so when, at the end of the day, they're able to walk away in a better disposition than they started. Now, I took the route of the at-risk youth side of it through the Committed Partners for At-Risk Youth organization. Where,
Challenge, huh?
You know, we had to sometimes check in for firearms and for weapons, and they couldn't know where we lived. You know, it was a serious program for kids that had serious adjustment issues. Granted, they're 7th and 8th graders. They're not even, you know, in high school. But it gave me an opportunity to see where my own son, which had been raised by my, you know, now ex-wife, could possibly come into play, and I wanted to be prepared. They don't give a manual to parents, especially adopted ones, atop that. You know, I helped raise my brothers, and you know, I helped raise other people's kids, but not my own until then. And so I decided, you know what, I have this ability to read, you know, kids, you know, somewhere between 7 and 12 or 13 is my best years. I can connect with them quickly, get their attention, and I can teach them something important in a few minutes. And so it's just I don't know if it's a gift, but people, you know, say that kids just follow me around like a Pied Piper sometimes. It's somewhat true. But now that I run a large team program, it's kind of like icing on a cake now because I can act like a 14-year-old and have it be okay. So.
And you enjoy the work.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Why do a job if you don't enjoy it? You get at least something out of it.
I forgot to ask you a question about your brothers and sisters. Do you have any of those?
I have lots of brothers and lots of sisters.
Can you count them?
Can I count them? No, I cannot count. I do not know how to speak English that well. I can try very hard. Adin, Dova,
Boris.
I had to go to my Russian accent a little bit. I have one full brother. Same mother, same father. Then I have several brothers that are same mother or same father, sister, and then a bunch of step siblings.
Okay. I withdraw the question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
As you know, when I ask you a question that you don't want to answer, you can always say no.
Oh,
Forget about
I'm almost an open book.
it. Okay. Memberships in political, no, not political,
Not political.
social or civic organizations.
My membership is, the majority of it is participating on boards or committees, some of which I serve on now, some that I've been on before. The DECA program, for instance, which is a marketing organization for mostly high school students, but it's available in college and professional in some cases. I was with them for 19 years, providing miscellaneous things from being the state president in the college division when I was in college to international judge. I am with the Oregon League of Minority Voters on the board, like I mentioned earlier. I've been with the Police Activities League. I was on their board for 7 years, and I still help out with them when they need it. The Oregon Media Production Association, I help them with their membership, and I work with Amy Roloff and her fundraiser they do each year to help, whatever they need to do, mostly camera work and production type things for them. All nonprofit, all designed to help people. And Portland Parks I work with quite a bit, with the Untitled program, of course. So lots of different things.
How do all these organizations choose you to be on their board? Do they just sense something in you, or do you have some magic or something?
They have a divining rod that comes out, and they just go like that, and they come over to me. Well, board membership is somewhat tricky because it depends on the agency, depends on what the rules are, and some have, like the Oregon League of Minority Voters has a financial requirement where not only do you have to have something that you can give to the organization, something that you're willing to take on to help run the organization, but also be able to help financially sustain it. Because obviously a nonprofit without financial capability is a group, right? And some agencies I look at, yes, those are the type of agencies I want to partner with, I want to work with. They're either in the same industry I am, same passion that I have, or they believe in the same type of things I believe in. Like the Oregon League of Minority Voters, for instance, being on their board actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. And so for my Teen Idol program, I added a Spanish competition just so that I can make sure that I hit that demographic. And so I'm very happy that I can hit all the demographics within that nonprofit within my own organization and what I do.
So there's someone in that organization hear about you or see you or somehow or other decide, hey, we want to talk to this guy by being on the board?
Sometimes they come to me, and unfortunately several of the ones that come to me I decline because of agencies that I can't put the time toward. They're not fully in line with my beliefs.
Sure.
I mean, I run a Christian organization. I don't preach to anybody, but I try to run it as close to ethics as possible. I make mistakes, but not intentionally. I try really hard to deliver everything I say I'm going to deliver in timely. Sometimes one person can't do it, but I really try hard. Some of the agencies that want me on their boards are wanting me for my connections or what I might be able to give them. Most of the time, most people get on boards because they see an agency they like, they have volunteered for, they've been introduced through a friend or what have you, and they say, you know what, I have these expertise. I am willing to lend them to you for free. Are you interested?
What is it that in your childhood that have you eager to be a people helper and the kind of person that you are? Something happened in your early childhood that says, I'm going to help everybody I can because it feels good, or what?
Well, I mentioned earlier that I grew up in a household with an alcoholic, and having a police at my house all the time because I was getting hit and such made it very difficult to deal with, and I started pursuing being in law enforcement because of that. And I got hurt, so even though I have thousands of hours of ride-along patrol time, and I was a volunteer with several agencies, I never actually became a police officer because I found out later that being a civilian gives me more capability. And so that's when I pursued being on boards of the Police Activities League. So, yeah, lots of things going on.
There is always a lot of things going on with you. Any persons from the past or alive today that you particularly admired or look up to? Any names come to mind?
Any names to come to mind?
Other than me?
Other than, well, Don, that was my first and only answer to the question.
I started him again, Rick.
It's his fault. The hardest part about that question is that I meet so many individuals that I fall in love with, even if they don't even realize it. My wife is someone I look up to all the time. Her passion, her drive, her desire to, to seek out being the very best. We get criticized because we dress nice, and we don't necessarily need to in Portland, but we do it because we feel the best to ourselves, and we know we get criticized for it, but eventually we know everyone's going to realize, you know what, that's just their style. That's just the way they are, and eventually they'll get over themselves and realize it's not about them, and no, we're not trying to make you look bad. We're just trying to feel and look good. We're trying to dress for success and be professional, and so it's just that's how we're trying to live our entire lives, that same way.
You are a unique character.
I'm sure there's a cartoon. Well, there was Dennis the Menace, so I guess.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a break here, and then we'll come back and talk a little more about TV production and your role in that, okay? So we'll take a break. Mr. Control Room, Mr. Ellery, please.
I think that was our cue back in control room.
Yeah.
Talking too much.
Okay, we're back. Thanks for staying tuned. And for you viewers who didn't catch the opening of the show, Conversations with Dr. Don that you're watching is an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like my guest tonight, Dennis Gleason, about who he is, a unique, one-of-a-kind individual, and whatever else it is that we decided to talk about. And we're going to talk about TV production and his role and other things related to that as we go into the second half of the show. And okay, I got a cheat sheet here.
Do you have a cheat sheet?
It's going to work, okay?
Is it going to help you?
I doubt it.
It wasn't helping me. I got rid of that like third or fourth series into my show.
And more than occasionally, I mention I admire you because of your high IQ and how smart you are and how creative in your thinking. And I'm appreciating more in this interview how you are personally than before. And I've always liked you. And anyhow, what is a TV producer?
Well, like everything else, that's a loaded question because it depends on what kind of television you're talking. There are very unique differences between television, and with the introduction of the web, there are now really a fourth category. And so you have I wouldn't say bottom rung because that's really not the right thing, but it's more like a class or a group of people based on capability, not necessarily talent or quality. But you have the independent, the video producer that could be a kid or it could be someone that's starting out that goes around and does filming and puts it online. And then you have public access, which is what we're doing here today, where it doesn't cost an exorbitant amount of money to do, but you also don't have a lot of resources. You have a lot of people that want to either prevent you from talking because you're saying something that might be damaging to the reputation or give out evidence to something that they might not want to have people know about publicly, or you're trying to get a band recognized, or you're trying to have someone get recognized for their skills or their plight or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then you start getting up into the actual money side of things, and then you have what's called stage television, where a production is put together. Almost everyone knows their role in the program, and they work on accomplishing that goal. And then you have real TV, which is not the same thing as reality. Reality TV is, if anyone really knows television, is more staged than reality. The real TV would be like the news and the media sides of it, where they literally get a script and it's like, tonight on the news, those are the newscasters that really have the most respect for, because they day in, day out has to come up with content. They have to think on their feet. And sometimes they're like the news shows, like E! Entertainment, and these different offshoots from TMZ and such, that they know what they're going to talk about. They're somewhat scripted, but they're, for the most part, not edited. So
the kind of TV production that you've been involved with through the years?
Most of my television production has been mostly on the cable side of it, mostly because in Portland there's a lack of funding, for one. There's what's called OPIF, which is indigenous productions, for if you create a program here in Oregon and you live here, then you can get some refunds back from the state, which fortunately Governor Kitzhaber just a couple days ago at the Oregon Film meeting doubled the money from $6 million to $12 million, which is going to be great for independent productions, film and television. But the problem with the thing is, you either have money or you don't, and if you don't, you're always going to stay in the online posting or public access. And if you have the money, then it goes into the either the staged or the non-staged productions.
So we're doing this in Oregon now, and Governor Kitzhaber was the governor of Oregon,
Yeah, this is his third term, not consecutive. So.
And talk about, have any thoughts about your role being a TV producer here at TVC TV or any place else in this aspect of TV production?
Well, public access, unfortunately, has a bad rap. The people that think that public access is not real TV are usually people that don't understand what it is. Usually a public access producer is no different than an independent filmmaker. They have to be excessively creative with no money, limited staff and resources, and unlike an actual independent film, there's even more rules, because the government, the cable stations, everyone wants a piece of you. Even if they don't want money, they want to tell you how to do your lives and what to say, not to say. It's supposed to be 100% independent. It's supposed to be whatever you really want to talk about in any way you want to talk about it. But in reality is, cable stations have a tendency to want to say, if you don't do content we like, then we're going to limit your playback time, etc. My role in it gives me the time and opportunity to help a lot of nonprofits. Again, I mentioned Virginia Garcia, Amy Roloff, Michael Allen Harrison, different groups I've worked with in the past, giving them opportunity to record their different events they have, put them on air, and or at least get some promotion for their upcoming fundraisers, etc. And I think collectively speaking, over the years since 2003 when I started working in public access, I've been able to help direct, produce, and or assist in over 500 productions.
That's a lot of productions.
It is. And it hasn't come to a halt, but it's come down to a lot slower. I mean, I was doing 3 or 4 productions a week. And sometimes, like with your show, it was 2 productions in one night. And so even though I'd come in there and I'd do 4 technical shows in 3 days.
2 one-hour shows just for me.
Right, just for you.
Ooh. And
I was producing or directing 5 shows at one time, including my own. I was doing sometimes off reservation. So.
Yeah. So, will you talk a little bit about some of these nonprofits you work for and what they're up to and what you would do with them?
Right. Well,
you got this sign here. What is that about?
The sign. Okay. Well, that's my plug, right? I get to plug it now, right?
Yeah.
So this is Portland Teen Idol. I'll put it right there in front of my face. I can see the the camera program, see if we can cheat the camera. There you go.
I got to see your face.
Perfect. It's the advantage of being the director. I know what to look for. So, and a talented Ellery, and is my right-hand man when I was producing your show.
Yes, yes.
Well, Portland Teen Idol very specifically was a program that I, just like everything else in this entire world, just fell into an accident. I never even heard of it before, and my son Gabe wanted to go into FYE and get a CD, DVD, or something. He doesn't sure what he wanted, but he wanted something.
What's FYE?
It's for-your information, or for-your entertainment, excuse me. It was mostly a secondhand video and music store.
Okay.
And so we went in there for the purpose of finding something, and there was this sign on the door that said Portland Teen Idol auditions. I'm like, what is that? You know, and so my son said, that would be great to be involved in. Got the phone number, called it, showed up the next weekend for a round competition at, I think it was Matt Dishman Park. Talked to the person that was running it, Jeff Milkus from the Portland Parks, and he said, hey, why don't you come and watch what we're doing, see if it's right for you. And then at the semifinals, I recorded it for television and playback, and then the finale later, recorded it for television playback, and we did it through here at TVC TV, and we had a great production. And then, long story short, 2 years later, funding changed hands, the program got moved around a few times, and the same guy, Jeff, came to me and said, you know, this program is pending going bye-bye, unless you want it. And I said, I'll take it. And of course, then I asked for money. Of course, I should have said, how much are you going to help invest? How much is the city going to sponsor this program that was costing them, you know, 30, 60 grand, depending on what year? How much are you going to pony up for it? And instead I said yes, and then they said, well, we'll do what we can. And it unfortunately comes down to a very small amount because there's not a lot of budget. And so obviously it would be nice if they were to put up enough to at least get a part-time person or pay my staff. But it was a public access show. We don't necessarily need money, but it would be nice. You know, we'd like to be able to pay people. But it's now become my entire passion. We're starting up on season 7, which is our 3rd year running the program.
Do they give you any money now at all?
Yeah, oh yeah, they still provide money, and they do more than just money too. They also provide press releases. They provide us with space to do some auditions and some of the competition rounds, and let us loan equipment. And then the kids also go on tour. And you know, this year will be depending on what students we're talking about, but they go on tour throughout the city of Portland and the different parks locations, and we get to perform, which is something that in Portland and this whole area, there's no one that is able to come into an organization and not pay anything, and then be able to also perform and get resume material as well.
What is a teen idol?
Originally, it was just a singer, a really talented singer, somewhere between 13 and 19, and now we've narrowed it to specific talents. So we have English singing, Spanish singing, stand-up comedy.
Really?
The 3 acting categories that are supported by the state acting competitions, songwriting, and also for kids that want to learn how to run programs or to produce programs, we have 2 different internship programs. And we also are looking at doing a TV series through the PCM public access station. So
Portland Community Media.
Right, which is where we talked to, 2 days ago, the producer circle with Ellery. It was there as well.
Yeah.
Small circle.
So what channels are those shows?
What ones are they aired on? Right now, there's none being aired because it's seasonal, first of all. And the most difficult part about doing productions like this is that we do almost exclusive field shoots. And that requires an excessive amount of editing, of which I don't have the time for. I have, unfortunately, had several volunteers that have said, yes, I will help out. They take the content. They say they're working on it. It disappears sometimes for months on end, and I never get it back.
Yeah.
Now, the first year I made a mistake, and this is the same thing as most green people that are trying to move up in the life cycle. I went and got a contract with a local cable company for my show, and we gave them first right of refusal. And they sold the channel that we had originally contracted to be on, and that was $1,000 an episode. It wasn't cheap, but it also wasn't $22,000. They sold the channel, and they said, well, you're contracted to air your material on our channels first. So you need to come up with the money at $22,000 an episode, or you can't air your stuff. So to this date, not 1 minute of film has been released from the first season because we're contractually obligated not to do it until we can come up with enough money to do it. And that expires after 2 years. So we actually can now go back and edit and put it on air because it's 2 years as of, well, June 18th will be 2 years.
How much material is there involved there?
Oh, about, I would say 80 hours of direct tape.
Oh my gosh.
And that would be about 600 hours of editing time.
Do you plan to go back and do something with it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just getting people that are willing to volunteer, or maybe somebody's watching. You know, if you know how to use editing, doesn't matter what type of program, and you want to put some time in, you know, we'd love help with it because it's a great cause. And we have kids performing at competition rounds, auditions, state fair. You know, the Oregon House, we did a production. So
how does someone watching the show know how to apply for Portland Teen Idol?
Well, the application's not online right moment. We're trying to get a update of our website into a better one, but it would go to portlandteenidol.com, and just like it sounds like, or darkwingproductions.com, which is my email address there. If you go to there, then right there will be the logo. You can click on it, or just Google Portland Teen Idol, and it'll show up in 100 different places. And you know, there's a lot of organizations around town that are associated with it and getting promotional consideration, and so you can ask a lot of people. We're hoping that last year we had 413 official kids involved somehow, and we're hoping this year to get 600 or more. And so, you know, if you have a student that's interested, portlandteenidol.com, in the next 2 months it'll be open for auditions, and we plan on having them done by end of March.
Who does the auditions?
It depends on what it is. We've had local celebrities or, you know, different people that have won the competitions. Our 2007 Portland Teen Idol winner was also top 25 of Nashville Star, and so she has done a lot of judging. The 2008 winner, which has been mentored by Michael Allen Harrison and many other people, he also does a lot of judging. And when I was the assistant director of a church up in Vancouver, the worship leader of that church named Gordon Avery also has been one of our judges. Haley Johnson from American Idol is a personal family friend. Her mother is my wife's best friend, and she is judged for us and such. And so we have a lot of those judges, and then we're looking for people to help out with the Spanish program because I speak a little bit of Spanish, but not enough. And so
as well as you speak Russian?
I speak a little bit of Russian. So, Привет, Kotala. Not very well, and anyone that's Russian out there is going to butcher me saying I don't know how to sing it well. Give me free lessons, then you can butcher it all you want to.
Have you ever done any auditioning yourself? I mean, as an auditioner?
As a talent?
No, not as a talent, but as the one who does looks at the talent and decides which one's going to be. Yeah.
I haven't done much of it, because almost all of that is related to Teen Idol, and I'd rather have someone that's got a better ear, someone that's a professional musician. And again, we're having acting, so I could probably judge that, but I wanted to engage the community if possible. We have a lot of different people that have come up and said that we would like to, you know, here's our talent, this is what we do. I'm a producer, director, actor, model, whatever. I would really like to lend our support in helping out. And we already have 40 people signed up to help out. You know, we need about another 100 more, preferably, and we also need places to do it. That's one of the hardest things, is finding a business, a nonprofit agency, a restaurant, you know, a community center, a school, whatever, that's willing to let us come into their building and do a specific audition. And we give them IMDb credits for the particular location, and we give them sponsor credits and things like that. We don't necessarily need money, although it would be nice. It's mostly related to just getting the exposure and getting as many opportunities for kids as possible to be involved.
Do you like doing that?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that my wife works a lot with Channel 2 locally, the ABC affiliate, and she does a lot of the makeup for AM Northwest and such. And in fact, you've even seen my possum that we used to have on the show. But they had done what's called an Everyday Hero segment on me, where they go through and they talk about different volunteer activities. And so I was very happy that it came into my work at the bank and talked about the different activities I do there, and just a 2.5-minute clip on DennisGleason.com. And if you go to any of my other sites, you'll see a link there that shows it. But it gives you an idea of why I do what I do just by listening to that 2.5-minute segment they did. So
you enjoy this particular activity?
Absolutely. I'm 42 years old. but I act like I'm 12 when I can, when it's reasonably and responsible to do so. I can connect with the kids because I still act like a kid a little bit, you know, okay, a lot. But it's fun. I mean, you know how much stuff you can do if you can just remove the inhibitions of being a stuffed shirt and just have fun with your life. You know, I don't go wild, I don't do excessive, I don't do inappropriate, I just have fun. And it helps people. People enjoy it, they get a lot out of it. And I'm very fortunate to say that I've helped give back and give opportunities to people that otherwise may not have any. So,
what's another activity that you're involved in like that, giving back, that you can make a few comments about to all the viewers?
Well, one is the board membership with the Oregon League of Minority Voters, because we are still trying to garner people to come and be involved in it. The OMPA, which I'm very engaged in to try to help lobby for.
OMPA, what is that?
Oregon Media Production Association.
Mm-hmm.
Tom McFadden is the executive director. Chris Tone and Lisa Sakala and a whole bunch of other people are involved in it that are part of the film community. Gus Van Sant on the board. He's a local producer, or not local, he's an international producer.
Oh, yes, Gus Van Sant.
I don't know what Daniel Baldwin's involvement is, but I'm sure he's in there somewhere. But I volunteer to help them out whenever I can. And they're one of the only organizations that I've even heard of that helps lobby for Leverage and Portlandia, Grimm, and all these shows to get good incentives to produce here, and also for independent producers like us. So, other than that, Amy Roloff, I spent a lot of time helping her with her event every September. Michael Harper's event for his Grass Harper Foundation. Very much engaged. Michael Allen Harrison's Snowman Foundation. I try to promote that as much as possible, being one of our standing permanent judges on Teen Idol. And we're hoping that PCM is looking at possibly getting involved again this year.
Board Community Media.
Right. I was hoping that DECA might also be involved, in maybe even the Boy Scouts, the agencies I put money toward quite frequently, get them involved, and that gives us a lot of manpower and also allow a lot of opportunities for kids to participate.
You sound like you're so darn busy with all these things you're talking about. What's a typical day like for you?
Today, let's see. I had to get up early, so I didn't get sleep at all. I think I saw the clock at 2:30 this morning. I was up around 4:30 to get my wife to the airport. Sat in my car for half an hour, waited for the executive director of OLMV to show up for our board meeting. Had our board meeting, drove into work, did my work thing, and then went home, changed my shirt that I spilled stuff on, and my jacket, because...
Do you spill stuff on your shirt every day? No.
Depends on who you ask. And then I'm here doing this, and then I get home, I'm having trouble getting a video online for my stand-up comedy winner, so I'm trying to get that up there for his film festival entry. And I will probably go to bed early because I have a Chamber of Commerce meeting in the morning.
So you spend your day and your days in a lot of meetings and...
Well, most of the time I work for the bank. I mean, my typical day,
of course.
I work all day, my normal day at the bank, and that could be from 8 to 6. 8 to 5 is more typical. I mean, no lunch, but it's a typical day. But sometimes I'll be at work until 9, 10 o'clock at night if it's a really bad year or bad week for what I do. But yeah, every day we're doing something.
You're supposed to get 8 hours sleep a night.
Even if you were to find that written somewhere, it wouldn't matter. I really need to do better, Don. I honestly kick myself quite a bit. Part of the problem is I have back and neck injury from an accident that occurred after 9/11. I was on my way back from the police department's, the Police Activities League Board of Directors meeting, talking about the response to 9/11, and I got sideswiped. Took me out of work for 7 months, and that was...
Several months?
But now, that was years ago, but now the arthritis is kicking in.
Oh, yeah.
If I don't have my medication, I can't sleep. I got surgery, I need to get another set of surgeries. Doesn't slow me down, though, clearly.
Well, I hadn't heard before that you got severely injured like that, yeah.
I don't talk about it until someone asks, or bring up cause for it. But again, most people complain, whine, and find excuses not to participate. I go out of my way to find a reason to do it. So.
About how many hours of sleep do you average a typical day?
About 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah, I try really hard to get to bed by 1:30 or so. I work from home, so my commute is 0.0 minutes. So.
So it's variable depending on the person as to how much sleep they require. Like some of the old people we admire, the people we admire from history, the inventors like Ben Franklin and like that, some of them required very little sleep overall. Do you typically require 6, 8, 5 hours sleep? Or you...
Well, let's put it this way. If I was able to consistently get a certain number of sleep hours and then vary it over like 1 month where every single day I slept for 6 hours, another month I did all 5.5, 5, and then go way up, I would have to do that really to find out where I'm at, because right now it's so variable.
Sure.
Rolling dice would be a little bit more precise than I have now. So, but I obviously, again, it doesn't slow me down. I don't use that as an excuse. I mean, yeah, migraine headaches in the bathroom, you can't do nothing about it. You don't like light, you don't like sound. Someone comes near you, just go away very slowly.
How often have you had migraine?
It depends on the time of year. In the wintertime, it happens more often than in summer because it's warmer. Sometimes once every 2-3 months, I have a really severe migraine. Sometimes I'll have it twice in the same week.
Do you know why you get migraines?
Not technically. We tried a lot of different things, a lot of different medications, therapies, naturopath, vitamin D, smack upside the head. That one doesn't work so well. But yeah, we don't know why exactly, and we don't know how to resolve it exactly. But my surgeries help a little bit. They help reduce the irritation. So
you're enjoying your life today?
There's elements of my life I'd like to modify.
Overall.
Well, I mean, because money is usually a factor. You either have money and no life, or you have a huge life, no money, and that's really my stress point is money, because I spend so much time and money on other people, and my team program and such, that I kind of neglect myself a little bit, and I'm trying to fix that. But at the same time, I'm also trying to hope that there's people that would be willing to say, you know what, don't give me the money. Help out my nonprofits I work with, help out our team program, help out your local schools, help out things that you feel passionate about. It's not about me, it's about helping others when you can.
Yes.
So.
Switching gears on you for just a bit here.
Oh, have at it.
About a minute or two.
All right.
The presidential election, the last one.
Yes.
Any reaction that's worth sharing with our viewers about this presidential election and the outcome?
It's interesting because you look at the demographics and how they voted versus how they did last year.
Yes.
And my wife, unfortunately, had to watch the results because even if I'm not political, I did need to at least understand. I was asked to do some private protection security work for the Gores when they were here in Portland right after 9/11 for a DECA event. And so from that point on, I volunteered as much as I could locally. I did some grassroots campaign things. I did a democracy television show, Democracy on TV. And again, I work with a lot of different individuals. Bradavakian is a friend of mine. His kids go to school with my son at Westview at the time. And so I have a lot of people that I'm associated with. And then going into the election, looking at who the president's going to be, I kind of really knew from the beginning that Obama would win, but I thought it was really interesting how the popular vote came out. And it's hard to say if the popular vote came out to be because people were voting for the person they really wanted to be president, or the person that really would be the most prepared and the best person for the job. And I don't care what your position is, Obama, or if it was someone else, it doesn't matter. Someone that's already done the job for 4 years typically has more experience than someone that hasn't done before.
Sure.
And they certainly have the opportunity to continue progressing. Look at your own business and your own life. Can you make monumental changes in a 4-year period with your hands tied half the way through? So,
yes, yes.
And your time's running down, Don. You need to wrap up your final comments so you can do your B-roll.
So you're no producing there, yeah.
Side seat producer, yeah.
All right, so it's time to wind down, and I want to thank you for watching, and I forgot my cheat sheet. Keep your pens and pencils handy because you may want to jot down something that we'll show you in the closing credits. Few public service announcements. Can you put the first one up? To get the Dr. Don local broadcast schedule, go to my website, www.donbayab.com, and click on present day activities. And next one we have coming up here is, how long can I stretch out this word here? The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. Without the ACLU, I think our civil liberties would be down the tube completely. I think they're threatened nowadays because of the direction that our federal government is going in, and I won't go any more than that because I get too political. But the ACLU is very important. Now, to get my shows broadcast by other stations, ask your local public access station to go to pegmedia.org and follow the instructions on how to do that so that they can broadcast my shows from their local part of the country. And I think we need to end corporate personhood. The Supreme Court decided that corporations were persons, and I think that's not good for American our democracy. So go to www.movetoamend.org to fix that problem. And thanks for watching.
So you got it.
And remember, KFC, and thank you, Dennis, for coming on. Not that KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No.
Dr. Don's KFC. Kind, friendly, and charitable.
I know how to look at it.
You too.
How many hundreds of times?
And you are those three things personified. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So do we have 2 minutes left? Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Got credit roll short in here, certainly?
They've got the credit rolls. We don't have a roll anymore. We have individual panels because
Gotcha.
I don't like the rolls. And we're showing the technical stuff there.
So last plug then, Portland Teen Idol, right?
Yeah, go.
Or Michelle Boxall if you want hair and makeup. She does a lot of volunteer services too. So.